From people pleasing to book writing. My name is Amy Ballantyne. Welcome to Power to the People Pleasers. I'm so excited to have you here today. And this is a solo episode where I dig into my new book and the moments of people pleasing that reared their ugly heads. My friends, perhaps you already know this, or maybe you don't. I've written a few books, kids' books. Mr. Poop Knows Poop. This was during the COVID phase when I realized as a mother, we think about this far too often. And I was inspired to write this book because of my passion for wellness and digestive health, work that I did more years ago, but still very passionate about it. Mr. Poop Knows Poop is a fun little read for people interested there. And I also wrote some books during COVID related to softball. I was feeling like our middle daughter plays very high level competitive softball. And when you go online to look for books or gifts for softball for girls, there weren't a lot of options. And so I wrote a few really fun books called Diary of a Softball Girl, and excited to share that. But I'm really pumped to tell you that my new book, Celebrate Yourself, Become Your Own Cheerleader Through Mastering the Art of Self-Love and Unshakable Confidence, is going to be released on May 21st, 2025. And I hope you'll grab a copy of the ebook or the actual book. But I wanted to share today that even though I had written the kids' books, writing this first book about my work as a coach and my own growth and development journey, it was interesting to me how there were a few opportunities in this process that reminded me to stay in my power, to tap into my intuition and listen within as a mechanism to reduce my former frequent tendency to people please. So let me tell you a little bit about this. I got introduced to this incredible woman in the beginning of this year of 2025 who has written, let's call it 40 books. And the conversation with her left me feeling very inspired to take action, that I had been getting in my own way of writing this book, that really I've been sharing many of these messages in here with coaching clients for years, on different stages in my TEDx talks. And it has come together. Finally, I feel very excited that it's come together. But like many people, I had self-doubt. I had the imposter syndrome creep up in a big way. And people pleasing is related to imposter syndrome, and definitely came out. But this connection with this incredible woman was the inspiration I needed to get the ball moving. And so I began putting words down on paper, handwriting it in some places, typing it in others, realizing that typing, although I'm slow at typing, was much faster than the handwritten process. And I got quite a bit of it done. I had it processed through an editor a number of times, and I was moving to a place of feeling more ready to launch it out into the world. And because I had published a couple of kids' books on Amazon and KDP, I knew the steps that I needed to take, and it wasn't my first time. And trust me, when I was writing and publishing Mr. Poop Knows Poop, it was a journey. It is a process to go through and to know all of the steps. So I'm grateful in this interaction for Celebrate Yourself. It wasn't my first time. And I attended this event a couple of months ago now, where up on the stage, I had spoken at the event the year before, but up on the stage this year was a gentleman from a publishing company. And I thought, my goodness, it's like the stars are aligned. I wasn't quite finished the book. I was working towards a very tight deadline. a very tight timeline. And I really loved the energy of this individual. I went over and spoke with him, and we had a call a couple of days later. And really kindly, this human went back to his team in order to create a very special deal, a special package for me to help me kind of finish all of the last steps, get the cover done, get all of the bits and pieces so that it would be loaded into KDP, all of the pieces. And the cost was still pretty significant, even with the very generous heart-led deal that he was offering me. It was still quite significant. And I let him know. I used the line I teach everyone. I've even shared it a few times on the podcast of, I'd like 24 hours to think about this decision. And so I went away and really processed the decision, looking at both the opportunity to have someone else do the rest of the steps. Sounded quite fun. It sounded great. But the other hand was that I knew the steps that I needed to take. And I had a conversation with a trusted connection of mine who pointed out that I had a lot of resources around me. And so inside, there was this very interesting moment that came up for me, that the only reason I wanted to say yes was to please this human who had given me a deal. That I wanted to not let that person down. I wanted them to like me. I didn't want to hurt their feelings. Can you relate to any of this? People pleasers out there. And I almost said yes to something that was going to cost me thousands of dollars when I knew how to do all of the steps and I could do all of the steps. And listen, that would have been a completely fine option for me to say yes and gone after it, and the book would have been created as part of their system. And that would have been great. But it was the disconnect inside that really was the indicator for me that I was on the verge of saying yes only because of the people-pleasing tendencies. And so I feel grateful that I recognized this. And I then said the words, which, let's all practice together. I'm not going with this package. Thank you so much for the offer. It was very generous and kind of you. I will not be taking the offer. Have a great day. And not allowing additional stories to then overtake me. It was not the path that I was meant to take. And so I proceeded in the other direction, where I used the tools and resources I already had access to from the books I had already published to sort out my keywords and to figure out the description and how to format that. And gratefully, I was introduced to this incredible cover designer. I love the cover. I'm so excited about the cover. Love it. But there was a moment where I was challenged as a people pleaser. There was a moment again, my friends. It comes up again and again. I tell you, I'm doing this work every single day. It comes up. The opportunity arises to step back into old patterns. And the opportunity was that the tagline of the book is long, but I love it. I love it. Become your own cheerleader through mastering the art of self-love and unshakable confidence. I love it. And the cover designer wanted me to change the title. And listen, I love the cover designer. I love the artwork. I love it. I love it. I'm so grateful. I said no. I'm okay with there being a long title. I'm okay with it taking up space on the cover. I'm okay with it because I love the title. And I had a moment where I almost said yes. And I started reworking and looking at other options, and none of them felt aligned. None of them felt right. My intuition was screaming at me. So this was an even easier decision than the other, where I said no. Does it mean it was not difficult or uncomfortable? Of course not. It was still difficult and uncomfortable. However, I am so happy and I'm celebrating myself for leaning into what I knew was the right thing for me and being okay with the response on the other end. And truly, I'm so excited for you to see the cover of the book, because I absolutely love the work that our cover designer did. I was able to hit all of my deadlines and get everything loaded, and even with a few challenges here and there, was able to navigate the process to get the book all set and ready to be available on May 21st. So the moral of this story, my friends, is if you feel inspired to write a book, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. If the woman who's written 40 books can do it, you can do it. If you have this calling in your heart, get started right now, putting your pen to paper or your fingers to that keyboard, and start getting these messages that are on your heart, in your mind, out. And there are resources available for you to be able to publish your own book, or I've got a great person who has a great program. I can introduce you to the very kind human who has a company who helps people publish books. I'm happy to make that introduction for you. And if you are like me and you're on this journey to being a recovering people pleaser, I've recorded a free meditation for you. You can grab that link. It's on the screen there for you. For those listening, it's bit.ly/PP for people pleaser meditation. So that link will be in the show notes as well for you to download that free meditation that I recorded for you. And you will be added into my community where you'll have access to the information about the book launch and all of the free special gifts that I'm giving with the book, as well as some upcoming masterclasses that I'm running as well. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this audience, and please stay tuned for the next episode of Power to the People Pleasers.